answers, then you know.
Each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker. And there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
All right, welcome everybody, or welcome back to Watch the Obsession live stream and chat. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Can you guys just do an audio check for me? Let me know if you can hear me okay. And my son's on his computer now. If you hear him being a little loud, tomorrow's his 16th birthday, so I'm not going to give him a hard time. And I can't believe he's going to be driving my car. I'm a little bit worried about that. But for those of you who have had children who have turned 16 and drove your car, please let me know that it turns out okay, right? So we're going to be talking about the IDAHO4 case tonight. And I just recently, for the first time in a really long time, guys, I have an IDAHO4 playlist, and I was so shocked to realize about my own channel that I have 142 videos on the IDAHO4 case and everything that's happened with Brian Koberger and, you know, all of the backstory. We have been on this case from the very beginning. You know, we have some sources at the University of Idaho. I just didn't realize I'd made that many videos. So I had just recently, the other day, dropped my first IDAHO4 video, like in a really, really long time. So I was just researching some various things today, and I came across, actually it was yesterday. I came across this post from Jack DuCoeur's aunt. Now, Jack DuCoeur is Kelly Goncalves's, well, you know, at the time of her tragic death, it was her ex-boyfriend, kind of current boyfriend. You know, the parents said, well, Mrs. Goncalves said, oh, I think they're going to get back together. I think Kelly was just being a brat, needed to take a break. You know how that can go. So whatever he was, he had been in her life for many years and was very important to her. So it is Jack DuCoeur's aunt. Her name is Brooke. I haven't decided if I'm going to give, well, it's actually on the GoFundMe page. So her name is Brooke, and I actually can't remember her last name right now. Oh my gosh, I've been looking at it all day. It's getting a little late for me. Her name is Brooke. Well, we'll figure that out in a little bit. Something or other. Oh, and I'm going to put the GoFundMe link in chat, and I'm going to put in the description too. So if you do want to support the Goncalveses, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment, you will have the opportunity to do that. Here's the link right here. if a moderator can maybe pick it up and label what it is and just drop it a couple times, okay? So it's Jack DuCoeur's aunt who is administering or supporting this GoFundMe page. And I'm going to just play this little clip right here to explain to you exactly what the GoFundMe page is about. And it is the Goncalves family who are the beneficiaries, so to speak, of this GoFundMe fund. There, go back all the way, go back all the way. All right.
Tonight, the parents of one of the Moscow murder victims say
didn't bring it in yet.
to those helping them afford to travel to Boise for the accused murderer's trial.
Brian Koberger's quadruple murder trial was recently moved to Ada County and is expected to last several months. And as of right now, it's set to start in June at the Ada County Courthouse. Abby Davis spoke to Kaylee Goncalves' parents today. And Abby, a family friend, organized a GoFundMe for them this week.
Kaylee's parents, Christy and Steve, say the outpouring of support is why the family will be able to travel hundreds of miles from North Idaho to Boise for Brian Koberger's trial.
We agree that the court had to move it, but it doesn't mean that we're going to be pushed out of the process.
Steve and Christy Goncalves plan on being in an Ada County courtroom for the entire trial of the man accused of killing their daughter, Kaylee.
Until it's over,
We're still victims.
we just can't heal.
And 3 other University of Idaho students in fall 2022.
And so we're going to 100% be there and make sure that
We're actively involved.
that this person feels every moment of what this family's gone through.
The Goncalveses live in North Idaho and say that's only possible with help from others. A friend started a GoFundMe Sunday so they can travel and stay in Boise during the trial, scheduled to begin in June and last 3 months.
It'll be a commitment of weeks or if not months that, we'll be there and we'll be away from our normal
Home
lifestyle.
base. There is 10 of us that plan on going that are in this until the end.
All people that raised Kaylee.
As of Tuesday, more than $30,000 has been raised. Christy says they'll use the money to pay for an Airbnb, food, transportation, and other costs that come up.
Some of us will be going without income for those couple of months when we're on our leaves of absence. So it's a burden. It is a huge burden on our family, but there's nothing that's going to keep us away from that trial and being there, any of us.
We fought the hardest to keep it here. We tried to, we didn't want to go as far as ways we have to, but if it's what's best for both parties and it's the fairest, then we were fine. We were fine with it. So now we're just moving on. And as part of that is a massive inconvenience for the family, but we'll get through it.
With the help of everybody that is helping, 100%.
The Goncalveses say they can't make it for Koberger's first hearing in Boise Thursday afternoon, but they plan on going to future hearings. Christy says they've only missed 1 or 2 since his court proceedings started nearly 2 years ago.
Okay, so in Idaho, are there any programs available to financially help families like the Goncalveses that have to travel and pay to essentially go to trial?
Steve and Christy say that they asked Latah County that question and they were told no. The only way that the state would pay for them to come to Boise would be if they were called as witnesses in this case. And she says that they haven't heard whether they will be called.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we saw with the Daybell case, right?
Yes.
Correct, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Abby, thank you.
Okay, so again, we are going to be talking about some information that was revealed by Jack DuCoeur's aunt. Jack DuCoeur is the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Goncalves, was the ex-boyfriend before her tragic death. The aunt is a person who is sponsoring the GoFundMe page, and in a comment that she was really venting about, she disclosed, well, she stated, details of the crime scene, of the crime that we had not heard yet. And it's a sensitive topic, so I want to make sure that we approach this very respectfully. This isn't the kind of thing that I usually come out and talk about, but there are other issues related to this that I think are really important. So, before we get into exactly what she said and all of that, let's just take a little look at the history of Kaylee and Jack DuCoeur and how Jack DuCoeur fit into us as people who are concerned about justice for these victims and are following the case, since this case became a case. So I'm going to bring something else here into the stream. Welcome to everybody who's coming in. Come on in. Please comment. Let us know what you think. We just ask that you are respectful to the victims or family members and, of course, to each other. And I'm so glad you're here.
You know that Katie Goncalves' family,
I said Katie there. I did. People all the time say I'm saying Kelly instead of Kelly. My name is Kelly. I don't miscall her Kelly. She's Kelly. It's just my accent. I said Katie there. I'm so sorry.
parents and her dad, Steve, especially, have been outspoken in media outlets talking about their experience of dealing with the aftermath of this crime and their communication with investigators. They've talked about really all aspects of this crime that I can think of, really, that they know about. And that includes how they feel about people that would be likely suspects or people that have been named suspects. And in that group, we can include Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack D. It's notable to point out that recently, Katie's father, Steve, was talking about the guy that we heard.
I did it again. I called her Katie again. I must have been really tired on the day I recorded this.
Kaylee and Maddie talking about in that recently released security camera footage where they're walking down the street from the corner club to the grub truck, and Kaylee says, "Maddie, what did you tell Adam?" And Maddie says, "I told Adam everything." When the reporter brings up this Adam guy to Steve, he very quickly dismisses Adam as being a possible suspect, as does Steve's lawyer. Take a listen.
And we did the obvious due diligence when we looked into that, and it was pretty clear that this individual was not a part of the investigation as far as a suspect.
Now, in my opinion, it is notable that Kaylee's father spoke out saying that this guy, Adam, was clearly not a suspect so quickly, yet he has still yet to speak out, saying that her former boyfriend, Jack D, is not a suspect. Now, I'm not saying that that necessarily makes Jack D a suspect. I'm just saying that it's notable. On the other hand,
now, by the way, I just want to say, especially for those of you coming in, I do not think that Jack D is currently a suspect. I haven't even entertained that possibility for a very long time. We're just taking a look back at the history of the discussion about this case, the speculation before this video was before Koberger was arrested. Well, maybe not obviously, who Jack D is, Jack DuCoeur, how he fits into the picture, and how his aunt, who revealed these details, is going to fit into the picture. Some history, some context.
We certainly can observe that Kaylee's mother and sister have spoken out vocally and often, pronouncing Jack as an innocent person in this entire situation and stating that he absolutely, positively could not be guilty. We're going to listen to several news clips that have quotes from Kaylee's mother and sister talking about Kaylee's former boyfriend, Jack D. Take a listen. The first time we hear Kaylee's mother and sister reference Jack D, they don't name him specifically, but it's their first sit-down interview that I'm aware of, at least, and they are talking about the calls that Katie made after she got home from being out at the corner club and the grub truck to a person that they had not named yet. Here's what they have to say.
So she was on my mom's cell plan, so on Sunday I was able to pull those cell records.
And you could see that she was calling somebody out.
Yeah.
Does it seem like they may have been involved, or does it seem like
no, not at all. Kaylee had no shame in kind of power calling, so it fits Kaylee.
Yeah, and we know who she was calling, and this person is, and this person was asleep. Unfortunately, was not getting the calls, and it was, I don't know, a few calls for half an hour. She called him a couple times, but no, it was not. We do not believe she was calling him for help. We believe that she was just calling him to come over. If Kaylee was in imminent danger, her or Maddie, they would have called 911. They would not have been calling this person. Yeah.
And that was around 2.
Yeah. So at that time, we
started
believe
around 2:30.
Yeah, we believe that the girls were just fine.
So from those phone records, it looks like the girls may have been alive around 2:30.
2:30 is what the last call.
No. The last call is shortly before 3 a.m.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. 250 something.
2:52.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you heard there, and this interview was very early on, Kelly's mother and sister both maintained that Jack had absolutely nothing to do with this tragedy, although he wasn't named. It's clear that they were talking about Jack. The next clip we're going to listen to is a telephone interview with Kelly's parents, and well, here's what they have to say.
We keep hearing this name Jack and phone calls going back and forth. Can you tell us anything about that?
We love Jack. Absolutely love Jack. We stand behind Jack 1000%. Jack was Kaylee's boyfriend for many years. They just recently broke up. There was no animosity at all. It was a breakup on Kaylee's point. It was not, they still talked every single day. Kaylee just thought that she needed a little break. They were on the mend of getting back together. Kaylee talked to Jack the whole time she was here for that week and a half.
One of her last messages, she reached out to Jack and said, Jack, get back to me. And he didn't. She goes, we share a dog together, which they did. She's like, you need to reach out to me. So
please come over. She was wanting Jack to come over. Jack is not, they're wasting their time with Jack. And Jack is just as distraught as we are. Jack is our family. Jack is 100%, 2000% our family. And Jack is with us. And we stand behind him 100%. We're supporting him, and we know in our heart and our minds and our souls, in the depths of our souls, Jack is hurting. And Kaylee and Jack would have eventually been married. They would have eventually been married, and they would have eventually had children together. So to say ex-boyfriend, it was Kaylee just being a brat, being like, I just need a break. But Jack was in her heart, and they were close to getting back together. And that was just Kaylee being Kaylee. So
as you heard there in that interview, Kelly's mother was strongly defending Jack. She said that they stand behind him 1000%. And, she was very animated and emphatic in her defense of Jack. An interesting point one of the channel subscribers and panel participants brought up last night, and that would be Sis Vicious, was when Kaylee's mom says in this interview they're wasting their time with Jack, it made her wonder, who is the mother referring to when she says they? Did they, meaning the parents, know something more than we did? Was Jack being scrutinized, being looked at intensely for a period of time that we did not know about? We really, of course, couldn't be sure about that, but I thought it was a very interesting point. In this next clip, we have an interview with Kelly's father, sister Olivia again, and Kelly's brother for the first time. So I think it's really interesting to hear what Kelly's brother has to say and to watch his mannerisms and his nonverbal indicators. So let's take a listen and look at what's going on in this interview, specifically when the family is asked about their support for Jack.
Your family has been very outspoken in support of Jack. He's Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. And on the Moscow police website, he is not listed, notably, as someone who has been cleared in the investigation. To your knowledge, is that significant?
No, I don't personally think so, because I think that there's the entire rest of the world that's also not on that list of people who have been cleared,
right?
Including Maddie's boyfriend, including any associates of Xana or Ethan that might not be involved. I don't find that significant at all.
And there were a number of phone calls to him that night, and you say that would have been typical behavior for Kaylee, that she often would call friends, folks, for a whole bunch of things.
At any time, yeah. Multiple times until I would pick up at 3 a.m. and be like, Kaylee, what?
Yeah.
And some of the last footage of her at that food court, she's on her phone 24/7 filming the whole thing. So she lived on that phone. So
yeah.
In case you didn't catch it, I want you to notice how each of these family members responds when the interviewer asks the initial question about Jack not being cleared officially on the Moscow Police Department website. I'm going to zoom in so you can take a really careful look at this. Look at dad, look at brother, look at sister. It's very interesting.
Moscow police website, though, he is not listed, notably, as someone who has been cleared in the investigation. To your knowledge, is that significant?
No, I don't personally think so, because I think that there's the entire rest of the world that's also not on that list of people who have been cleared,
right?
Including Maddie's boyfriend, including any associates of Xana or Ethan that might not be involved. I don't find that significant at all.
And there were a number of phone calls to him that night, and you say that would have been typical behavior for Kaylee, that she often would call friends, folks, for a whole bunch of things.
Just in case you didn't catch all that, one more time.
Who has been cleared in the investigation. To your knowledge, is that significant?
No, I don't personally think so, because.
So I'm sure that you saw the three distinctly different reactions there. Kaylee's sister, jumps right on that question. No, I personally don't think so. And then you watch Kaylee's brother, you see him raise his eyebrows and give an exaggerated head nod, yes, as to, without using words, state an emphatic yes. That is significant. And watching dad is also very interesting. He purses his lips. He looks very pensive. And I personally think he really struggles with that question. I'm sure he does not want to believe that Jack had anything to do with it. And once again, guys, I'm not saying that he did. I think he understands that his family members are a little split on how they feel about the topic. And I think he's been pensive, and he's, thinking through this question with intensity. He has been from the beginning, and he still is, in my opinion.
One of the points of speculation is that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend. Phone logs show she made 7 calls to the ex that night. The police say it's a non-issue. What's your take?
Yeah, I completely agree. I could not be any happier to see that they have cleared him. From the beginning, I knew that it wasn't him, and I'm happy that they're focusing their attention somewhere else now.
So here, once again, picking up on what subscriber Sis Vicious pointed out last night, Kaylee's sister also uses terminology like, I'm glad that they're focusing on someone else now, implying that Jack perhaps was being looked at closely for a period of time at least.
Can you elaborate at all? I don't know. You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew, or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe he should not have been. And yeah.
She had the strong alibi.
Just really fast.
If
just
you can
like,
dismiss.
An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that, definitely should have been looked at. And yeah.
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
Yeah, I think that's what we're struggling with. So it's like, we know what we know. We've, fought for Jack, Kaylee's boyfriend, and, we still stand that way. So I did just kind of want to clear that up while we're talking through this ambiguity that, that's not what we're honing in on here.
We don't want to make more victims out of innocent people.
Exactly.
We definitely don't want to do that.
So please leave a comment letting us know what you think. We all want to know what you think. And remember, in making these videos, the goal is always working towards justice for the victims in this tragedy and for their families. Please consider.
Okay, whoopsie. Go back to StreamYard. Okay, so there's that. So there's a little bit of history of kind of like how Jack DuCoeur fit into this case. If you've been following this case since, kind of the very beginning, or, before Brian Kohlberger was arrested, which was the very beginning, because this happened November 13th, and he was arrested on December 30th, my birthday. And so it was the very beginning. There was so much speculation about Jack DuCoeur. Do you remember all of that? There was like a whole lot of it. Okay, so now a question that we have to ask about this information, and it's just like, it's not this huge explanation or anything. It's just, the comment from the aunt is a little lengthy. She was venting about people given the Goncalves a hard time or giving her a hard time about the GoFundMe and wanting to raise money for them. And in doing so, she said some things that we definitely haven't heard yet. Okay, so so there's that. So one thing we have to ask is, because it's been deleted, the comment has, and I'm going to read the whole thing in about 3 minutes, is what she said legit under the gag order? Is she covered by the gag order? Because she's not an officer of the court, right? So let's just hear a little bit about that. Welcome to everybody coming in. We're glad you're here. Come on in. Come on in.
Hours of January 20th, 2023. Early morning hours of January 20th, 2023. It was just learned that in the late hours of yesterday, the judge on the case for the University of Idaho, IDAHO4 tragedy and murders, placed an even stricter gag order on all of the people that have to follow the gag order anyway.
So again, like I just said, this was in early January of 2023. So Brian Koberger was arrested on December 30th, 2022. The gag order just went into place immediately thereafter. And then it was tightened up a short time after, still in January of 2023. So this gag order, I believe, I thought about this, I looked into a little, I'd have to do some deeper research to be able to say this for certain. This is going to be one of the longest standing pre-trial gag orders in the history of trials in the jurisprudence system in the United States. It's been withstanding, right? So that's that.
One who is an officer of the court. So that's going to be the attorneys on the case, the tangential attorneys on the case, and a number of people that are under the rule of the court. They can't speak boo about anything having to do with this case. Is the reason why the reporting of People Magazine's Steve Helling, who has covered a number of topics on the University of Idaho tragedy. Steve Helling learned that on at least 2 occasions, Brian Koberger ordered vegan pizza from the Mad Greek restaurant, the same restaurant where Xana Kernodle, age 20, and Madison Mogan, age 21, were servers while they were attending school at University of Idaho. As you can see from the pictures here, the Mad Greek restaurant was not a large restaurant. It's a rather small and intimate dining location. So the question is, what interaction did Brian Koberger have with Xana Kernodle and Maddie Mogan? Here's the article from People Magazine by Steve Helling. Thank you, Steve Helling.
Crown Vic, I just have to say, I'll read your comment in a minute, but I saw that too. We went over that a few times. I do agree with that.
For all the coverage you've done in this case. The headline says, Idaho suspect Brian Koberger visited restaurant where 2 victims worked at least twice before killings. According to a former employee at the Mad Greek restaurant in Moscow, Idaho, Brian Koberger came in at least twice to grab vegan pizza. And the article is, of course, by Steve Helling. In the weeks before the slayings of the 4 University of Idaho students last November, the man now accused of killing them allegedly ate at the restaurant where 2 of the victims worked. According to a former employee at the Mad Greek restaurant in Moscow, Idaho, Brian Koberger came in at least twice to grab vegan pizza. 2 of the victims, Madison Mogan and Xana Kernodle, were servers at the restaurant. It's unclear if either woman ever waited on Koberger or if they interacted, but People confirms that a now deleted account that appeared to belong to Koberger once followed both Mogan and Kernodle on Instagram, along with a 3rd female victim, Kelly Goncalves. People has also confirmed via an investigator familiar with the case that law enforcement is aware of the restaurant visits and that investigators have interviewed employees and the owners of the Mad Greek. They've also collected surveillance video from the restaurant and surrounding businesses. The former employee tells people that there was nothing suspicious about Koberger's visits to the Mad Greek and that he only stood out because he had a particular order. A strict vegan, Koberger would check to make sure that his food had not come into contact with animal products. Now, from the many reports that we've heard from people that knew Koberger, he was a strict vegan, and a report from his aunt told the world that one of the weird things about Brian Koberger was that he would not eat food that was even cooked in pans that had touched meat. So when he was at her house, the request was, that they had pans that meat was never cooked on, and they had to buy all new pans. One of the many strange things about Kobergers. Other people that knew Koberger, that worked with him, that were friends with him along the way, also said that he was a strict vegan for at least a period of time. So this makes a connection between Koberger and at least two of the roommates. Many have speculated about the various social media accounts, the Facebook posts that some people think was Koberger that revealed a lot about what happened. And
everyone, please do hit the like. I'd really appreciate it. Pushes out those notifications. We always ask for that. I very much appreciate all of you, and thank you so much. And please try to keep the chat to what we're talking about, in the topic there, because it just helps things. It's good to say hi to people and whatnot, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. I want to hear what you guys think too. It's discussion that generates the new ideas, which is why we discuss things.
Detail the night of the tragedy, the Papa Rogers account, the Reddit account. There have been so many different social media accounts that have caused people to wonder, is this Brian Koberger? It sounds an awful lot like him. He seems to be defending the person who committed these egregious crimes. And, well, this People Magazine article by Steve Helling gives those speculations a great deal of credibility, in my mind at least. Please leave a comment below and let us know what you think.
We all want to know what you think, as I always like to say, right? Okay, so again, welcome to everybody who's coming in. So we are talking about, because we're talking about Jack DuCoeur's aunt. Her name is Brooke, and she is a woman who is administering or facilitating, hosting the GoFundMe for the Goncalves family. And as we went over in the very beginning of the live stream, if you're just coming in, the GoFundMe is to support the Goncalves family so they can go to the trial. Venue has been changed, as many of you know, and it's going to be pretty far away for them. So several of the family members are going to have to take off work for a few months. There's going to be the cost of hotel, of, so many things, not eating at home, eating out every night's really expensive. And I get it. What do you guys think about the Goncalveses? And be honest, please, in chat, just be respectful. What do you guys think about the Goncalves family having a fundraiser to help fund them to cover their costs of living and all that, so they want to attend every moment of that trial, they've said. According to Steve Goncalves, I just dropped a video a few days ago, Steve Goncalves' most recent interview. He says that he and his whole family plan on being there for every single moment of the trial. His attorney, his family's attorney, told him that the most important thing in a trial is seeing the faces of the family members to influence the jury. You can watch the video and hear exactly how he said it. He also said, and I thought this was very interesting in the end of that video, that, I can only, coach and counsel my own family, but it is my hope that all of the victims' family members will be able to conjure up the strength and will to show up at least for the sentencing phase, having a great degree of confidence that it is Brian Koberger that committed this crime and will be convicted. And I think he was directing that towards the Chapin family, who has said in the past, it's been a while, but they said in the past that they're not planning on attending, that they feel that their energy is better spent otherwise. And so, that's how they feel about that. So, all right. So now talking about the comment that Brooke, Jack DuCoeur's aunt, made. Again, it has since been deleted. And due to the nature of the comment, I'm not sure if I should put it on the screen. And since I'm not sure, I'm not going to. So I'm just going to read it. Okay. I've been getting a little bit of a hard time from YouTube lately, and it just could be one of the things, Just really, really quick before I do that. Just want to read a couple comments here because I just asked you some questions. Hey, Lazy Benjamin, welcome. How are you? Or I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you Lacey. I don't want to mess up your name. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Lacey says, I don't think it's a bad thing to do. They're not forcing anyone to donate to them. Yeah. And Jack's aunt Brooke said that exactly, in her comment, which is true. Like, why are you offended by that? I kind of don't get it. I'm sure they'd rather have their daughter alive than the GoFundMe money. My God, absolutely. I get why they're doing it personally, but I want to know what you think. Seriously, welcome. How are you doing, my friend? I'm so glad you're here. Says, yes, I agree. They should attend if that's what they want. Losing a child, no matter what, how it happened, I'd be wrecked. Anyway, whether home or somewhere, they should be attending the trial. Yeah. Trailer Trash Barbie says, don't they get victim fund money from the state? I am not sure of the answer to that question. That depends on a number of things. And I don't know exactly what that criteria is. We can look into it. I can research it and we'll come up with an answer. And I don't know if they meet all of that criteria. Jack DuCoeur's aunt, who is facilitating the GoFundMe, does refer to taxpayer money in her comment here. So here, I'm going to read it. Oh God, I have to make this bigger. Just 1 second. Okay. Ready? Okay, so this again is a comment from Brooke, Jack DuCoeur's aunt, who is facilitating the GoFundMe. It's from yesterday. It's since been deleted. I'm going to read it in its entirety. This is sensitive material, and let's handle the discussion about it respectfully, please. The GoFundMe goal is $75,000 because so many people jumped in to help, and it's already reached its first goal. Maybe I will raise it to $1 million. Who cares? I don't understand why people have a problem with them getting any amount of money. The only thing I can think of is that they're jealous. I'm guessing people just don't have enough to do in their lives than to worry about families of murder victims getting money when you can barely wake up in the morning, even 2 years later, because you have to think about your beautiful daughter being choked, punched, and stabbed to the end of their life. So, and there's more, and I'm going to read it, but, that to me was one of the things that she said that was, a detail about what happened. And then she goes on to talk about how she's very close with the Goncalves family. And, Kaylee was a really big part of their lives for years. So I imagine that she speaks to the Goncalves family regularly, particularly because she is hosting this GoFundMe effort, right? So, I think that's very interesting. We're going to compare that, what she just said there, after I finish reading the comment, we talk about a little to some things that Steve and Christy have said about the attacks on Kelly and Maddie, and the details that they kind of slipped. So again, I'm going to repeat that. And again, this is sensitive stuff. Please, we're going to handle it respectfully. YouTube, please be kind on me for the love of God. Already, true crime is something people talk about. YouTube, okay? So she's just talking about why people don't want to donate. She thinks they're jealous. It says, I'm guessing people just don't have enough to do in their lives to worry about families of murder victims getting money when you can barely wake up in the morning, even 2 years later, because you have to think about your beautiful daughter being choked, punched, and stabbed to, choose a different word, the end of their lives. So choked, punched, and stabbed, right? I'm going to go on to read the rest of it. In my opinion, you should be able to retire, never have to work again, and spend every day getting therapy and spending time with your remaining loved ones. No one is forced to donate anything. It's not like they're getting a victim's compensation from our tax dollars or anything. So again, why do you care? So to Barbie, that I think that kind of speaks to your question, doesn't it? Do you guys take that statement to mean like they're not going to be benefiting from any victims' compensation funds? Let me read that again. No one is forced to donate anything. It's not like they're getting victims' compensation from our tax dollars or anything. So again, why do you care? So she says it flat out right there. They're not getting victims' compensations. I don't think she'd be dishonest about that. She's very close with the family. I think she knows. So I think that's our answer. Whew, I have to research that one. She goes on to say, I'm very good friends with the Goncalves family, and Kaylee was a big part of our family for many years. If any of the families have friends that want to start one of these, I would donate to all of them. She's talking about the victims' families. Likely, those other families just don't want to face the backlash of all the hard-hearted people who sit around bashing murder victims' families for a GoFundMe that their friends started. Ready, go, unleash the haters. So that was her entire comment that, again, was posted just yesterday and was very quickly deleted. So I think probably a lot of people didn't even see it. I just, again, posted my first Idaho video in a really long time. I happened to be searching around and I came across it. So again, what she said that pertained to the crime and the crime scene, which, I just feel like, let me know what you think. I don't think she would say these words carelessly because she's friends with the Goncalves family. Kaylee was meaningful to her. And when you are close to a murder victim, I don't understand how you could say these words carelessly, right? So again, she says, I'm guessing people just don't have enough to do in their lives than to worry about families of murder victims getting money. When you can barely wake up in the morning, even 2 years later, because you have to think about your beautiful daughter being choked, punched, and stabbed to the end of their lives. So that is what the comment that she made said, and that was deleted. Do you think it was deleted because she thought better about it? Like she, just commented saying all of that, like in the heat of the moment? The comment, the tone of it, to me reads like she was pretty fired up. And I understand why. She just wants to help this family that she's witnessed suffering so. And she knew Kaylee, so she understood the magnitude of their loss, right? So I understand why she'd be fired up. But again, I don't think that's something you just say in jest, Let me get some of your comments here. Have the other families said if they will be going? Good question. So last we knew, the Chapin family says that they do not want to go. They need to focus their energy on raising their, Ethan's twins. And that's just how they feel about it. And they haven't spoken out about that in a while, though, but that's what they last said. And they said it several times. Xana Kernodle's mom, last I knew, was incarcerated. And I feel like it was a pretty long sentence, possibly still will be during the trial. Her dad said he will be going. He hasn't said to the whole thing every single day, emphatically the Goncalveses have. And Maddie Mogan's family has also mentioned that they need to be there. They have a sense of needing to be there. Pump the Brake says, raising funds to help family members attend the trial is a great idea. I don't think you get compensation until after the court case is over. Right? Yeah. Utter says she thinks it's fine. They have so much to worry about in their life ahead of them. Let's see. June says, and welcome June says, Steve needs to tone it down. He seems to want BK to pay, Brian Colbert to pay, even if there is no evidence except circumstantial. Well, in his last interview, and again, I did a video on it. It's the last video I dropped about the Idaho case. It was just a few days ago. He talks about why he feels like he needs to talk about it. He says, I'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, do all these interviews because I feel like I owe it to Kaylee. I owe it to my daughter. And I think as a parent, I feel like I might have that same sense of responsibility to my child. But that's just my opinion. Let's see. Crown Vic says, I feel the G family really is really known down inside who was involved in all of this, but might be playing possum, if you will, saying it was Koberger. Yeah, we'll find out during the trial. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Your photographs, your pictures, Optum CSS magazine. Welcome. Please let me know what it is you're talking about so I can address it. Or send me, can one of the moderators put my email address in the chat, or do both? Let's see. Yeah, Pepper makes a really good point here. They are moving 10 people, so it's going to be really expensive. Yeah, right, exactly. They have a huge family. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I certainly didn't. Can you just, yeah, either email me or put in chat, or definitely email me. I'm not sure what the content is. Because I would definitely give you, I always give people credit. Please forgive me. It's just I keep seeing my content shown, but my name is not being mentioned. Only other channels. I'm so sorry. I don't want that for you at all. And I totally want to give you credit. So just let me know what you're talking about and how I should credit you. And yeah, absolutely. I get it. I get it. and I am sorry if that did happen. Oh, so Lacey Benjamin says, I saw a GoFundMe for Maddie's dad to go to on the Goncalves Facebook page. Oh, wow. Well, I would like to try to post that link as well. So I'll try to find that. Thank you for letting me know that. I hadn't seen that. Thank you. Oh, yes, absolutely. Of course. Is Steve Goncalves a multimillionaire? I did not know the answer to that question. Again, that is something through some research I probably could find out. I'm not sure if I feel motivated to dig that far into. But okay, let's think about multimillionaire in the area where they live, which is, a very high expense area. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. Multimillionaire, it's kind of a subjective thing if that is like super wealthy or not, you know what I mean? But I think you're saying, isn't he super wealthy? And I do not know the answer to that. I do know, I've heard things. I haven't substantiated any of them on my own. Squirrels on Fire, welcome, my friend. How are you doing? I'm really glad to see you. Same back at ya. Absolutely. Pepper says to Optum CSS magazine, that's what we're here for, showing love and support. Absolutely. I like to share the love and, compliment other creators and bring them in. And I like, that's all we do on the channel. I don't like the opposite. And June says about Steve Goncalves, I really understand how he feels, but I think he might be influencing future jurors. Possibly, maybe. So, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at some other things about some things the Goncalves family again said about the crime scene as they know it to be, in their words, and about Kelly and Maddie's injuries. And again, this is sensitive stuff, so let's please just all handle it respectfully. I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible. So again, in the comment that Jack DuCoeur's Aunt Brooke, who is the facilitator of the GoFundMe for the Goncalves family, made yesterday, that was deleted straight away almost. I actually think that there was a Daily Mail article on it that has also been removed. So maybe this video will be removed. I don't know. But she says, and just saying, I don't know why people are against the Goncalveses getting money through the GoFundMe to support their life while they're attending the trial. She says, I'm guessing people just don't have enough to do in their lives to worry about families of murder victims getting money when you can barely wake up in the morning, even 2 years later, because you have to think about your beautiful daughter being choked, punched, and stabbed to the end of her life. Now, unfortunately, those are horrible, 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 horrible words. But I just want to think about for a moment what that would mean. So if it was true, as Jack DuCoeur's aunt says in this comment, that the Goncalves' daughter, who is Kaylee, clearly, we're just connecting all the logical dots, even if they are simple steps that we're all going to make, let's just be clear on what we're saying, that she was choked, punched, and stabbed. What questions does that raise, right? It raises the question, if a person, comes into the bedroom, even though knowing that Maddie and Kaylee were in the same bed together. So, and I believe the assailant, and I do at this point believe it was likely Brian Koberger. If the evidence changes, I will happily change my mind. Just my belief at this time. If the assailant has that fixed blade knife in his hand that we've all seen, what kind of situation would also warrant punching and choking in addition to utilizing that weapon that you ostensibly brought with you? You know what I mean? So I think, because I believe that these details must be true due to the person who said them, her relationship to the Goncalves family, her relationship to Kaylee when Kaylee was alive, her nephew's relationship to Kaylee, and because you don't say those words lightly, I believe that that is information that probably was learned by the family. So if you have that weapon, what kind of a situation could go down that would also, include choking and punching? And what does that mean to what we know about the crime scene and the evidence in general? Are you all with me? Let's see. And to answer the question about, is Steve Goncalves a multimillionaire, Optimum CSS Magazine says, and yes, only in cryptocurrency exchanges. That's what I heard. Have you been able to verify this? And investments. But he lost most of it during the fall of, what is that? I don't even know what that is, honestly. Reported that on my channel and other channel that I have, Open Mind Perspective. Oh, well, thank you. I will definitely have to visit your channel. And if a moderator could go and grab the link, which channel do you want us to link? And we can just pop in chat for you. And I will definitely get you in the description afterwards. And again, thank you for letting me know about that. Tanel Ray, hey, Tanel, how are you doing? Says, Steve Goncalves did say he was interviewing Moscow residents on their possible bias in that TV interview. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Snell Ray asks, could it have been done in 8 minutes? You mean committing this whole crime? I think there's a longer than 8 minute time frame. Let's say 10 minutes. This question has been asked so many times, and I think it's a really good discussion and good debate. But we're only going to know the answer once we learn the details through the trial. I personally think, and for so many reasons that I've gone over a number of times, I think it absolutely could be. Yeah, potential breach of the gag order. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Optimum says, am I saying that right? Optum. I'm so sorry. My eyesight gets really bad lately, and I have contacts. They start to get fogged up. It's very hard to hear. It's sad what happened to her. Absolutely. Yeah, June says, Steve said that they cleared some people too quickly. Yeah, absolutely. Lacey says it's awful to think about here. I'm going to bring that other video in really quick, so I have to go grab my charger. And again, this is Steve Goncalves, and well, they're just talking about some things they know about the crime scene and the injuries to the victim, sadly. I got feedback. Some people didn't like the typing sound. I apologize. It's there. Can't do anything about it now.
County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes, there were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Goncalves also told me the county coroner called and told her 17-year-old daughter graphic details from the autopsy over the phone.
She asked, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said yes. And she proceeded to tell her.
And so you haven't spoken to the coroner?
No.
The family says they met with authorities Monday to express their grievances. A Moscow police spokesperson declined to comment on allegations relating to communications with the family. NBC News reached out separately to the coroner but received no comment.
Sir, when was the last time you talked with law enforcement about the case?
Well, we just had a vacation. Law enforcement told me that they were going to drop off a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
And not to expect the same type
Crap.
of communication that I
on.
had gotten before.
So very sorry about that, guys. Let me just pop that right in there. Back in there. Back in there.
Pass it on to another person. So basically, long story short, it was Wednesday, 5 p.m. was the last time that they reached out to me. So, yeah, that's rough.
Sir, what are they telling you?
They're kind of just telling me that they can't tell me much, which is frustrating to me because I've been very trustworthy. I do know things. I haven't shared things. We're the same family that found the original timeline. We're the same family that broke into the phones. We tried everything in our ability to try to get into this system because a court order is not the fastest thing. So we broke in and we did what we did. We know that we have some family passwords that we all share. So we broke in and we helped them.
First off, the map that just came out from police, it gives a little bit of a timeline of where they may have been that night. Does that map mesh up with the timeline that you've been putting together?
Yeah, I'd say it's very close. I'd say if you have any closer details to kind of hone in, 145 could be very vague. Maybe it's closer to, 150. Let us know if you have anything concrete. Because right now,
In terms of the details, you said it's close.
Mhm.
Does that frustrate you that it's close?
I do, but right now we're still trusting authorities that, it's not going to be 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here that's breaking this. But yeah, I implore everyone, if they know something different, bring it to the police. Because if they want to tighten up that timeline, we stand with that.
Your family's been frustrated with the investigation so far, understandably so. Here we are a week and a half out and really not much information about this, does not appear to be a suspect. Tell me, Olivia, what specifically you've been frustrated with, because you did your own work here. For instance, you found video of the food truck, for example, where two of the victims were seen the same night as this killing.
Yeah, I would say I think that obviously this is extremely personal for us, and we treated it that way from the very get-go. I know how valuable those first 48, 72 hours are. And I can only hope that the police also know how valuable that is, and that they have a lot of information there that just isn't public right now. I will say the one lingering frustration I have is the timeline. I know it's semantics, but my sisters got home at 1:56. It wasn't 1:45. I know it might not seem significant, but when we're looking for camera, when we're looking for dash footage, when we're looking for any of those things, I do feel it is valuable, and they did get home at 1:56. It was not 1:45.
Olivia Goncalves isn't waiting for police. She's tracking down her own leads to find her sister Kaylee's killer.
We're not getting any answers, and we're not going to settle for that. Hi.
It was Olivia who found the potentially crucial video of her sister and Madison Mogan at a food truck just hours before they were murdered. She also tracked down their Uber driver.
I found neighbors' Ring camera footage so that I can verify that the Uber driver took her home.
We're just left in limbo.
This morning, Kaylee Goncalves' parents sharing exclusively with GMA never-before-seen pictures and videos of their 21-year-old daughter.
There's a type of, you can like season with these, and like can't really season with them, but you can cook with them.
Yeah, I know that's in front of the tower.
Yeah.
This is in front of the University of Idaho Tower.
The family still waiting on a full digital copy of Kaylee's phone from authorities.
These are the last moments of your child's life, and you're sitting here fighting with somebody who just doesn't care.
They were able to collect some of Kaylee's belongings from the university over the summer, which raised concerns for them about how well possible evidence was processed, including a trash can from Kaylee's room that was full and appeared untouched.
We opened it. It was a little squeezy applesauce thing like you would give to like a toddler.
Yeah.
It did not appear to have been gone through.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up and had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a bed.
Tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
The home on King Road was torn down in the pre-dawn hours.
Okay, so Honey Bun wanted me to read, what it was I was referring to. Was being the information again that just and Honey Bun, don't go saying proof, getting people all crazy here. I'm not proof. It's just a little statement. So this is from a comment from this woman named Brooke. I just can't think of her last name. It's on the GoFundMe page, so you can find it if you want to. Jack DuCoeur's aunt, who knows the Goncalves family very well, says that Kaylee was a big part of their life for many years. I'll just read the first, paragraph of the comment. The comment was, I found it yesterday. It was posted yesterday, shortly before I found it, just super randomly. And I went back to find it this morning and it was deleted. I believe there was also really quickly a Daily Mail article based on this as well that also has been taken down. So again, this video goes bye-bye. We won't be surprised, but this is what she said. Not proof, Honey Bun. Don't get people thinking that. I'm just kidding. So, okay. The GoFundMe goal is $75,000 because so many people jumped in to help, and it's already reached its first goal. Maybe I will raise it to 1 million. Who cares? I just don't understand why people have a problem with them getting any amount of money, referring to the Goncalves family. The only thing I can think of is that they are jealous. I'm guessing people just don't have enough to do in their lives to worry about families of murder victims getting money when you can barely wake up in the morning, even 2 years later, because you have to think about your beautiful daughter being choked, punched, and stabbed, and it ended her life. So, in everything that we have heard thus far, the description has been, that there were, of course, the stab wounds from that gigantic knife that was the weapon. So what does it mean about the suspect, about the crime scene, about what happened? Does it change any of that to include, the elements of choking and stabbing into the picture? It's hard to even imagine how that would happen when the weapon is, what we know it is. So let's just go back a little in this video and listen to what Mrs. Goncalves says about the crime scene.
Fought.
Evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up and had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in the bed.
Tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. The headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
The home on King Road was torn down in the pre-dawn hours of December 28th.
I'm making my way up the front left side of this crime scene property. I'm following the yellow police tape. I wouldn't, where I'm standing right now, be able to safely make my way to the front door because there's a steep drop off here with the road and where the property is, but I'm only about 15 yards from that front door right there. Inside this front door to the immediate left is a staircase that leads up to the second level. You may can see through this window the good vibes, neon lights. That is the living room area of this home where that staircase leads. And I continue, of course, can walk up this hill along the side of the home, following the police tape. And as I do, I become closer and closer to this home. So other than this yellow crime scene tape, which right here, I could easily just step onto this property without any sort of barrier. I've now made my way up the hill where you can see the back of the home. This balcony is the third floor of the home. These windows next to the balcony, I believe, is a bedroom, possibly where one or two of the victims were found stabbed to death. If my photographer moves down to the second floor here, which would be ground level, because again, this house is built into a hill. I believe that's also a bedroom on the second floor next to the kitchen. And from where I'm standing right here on this public road, I can easily see into any of these windows.
That brings me to the issue of Mrs. Chapin. Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, has given that statement to me saying that, we're okay with this at this point. We agree with the university. We think it's in the best interest of the kids who are there, including her two kids and the community as a whole. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally respect it. I get it. I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white salon, this car took. And people are going to wonder what he was doing when he parks in certain locations for extended amount of time. What was he looking at? I want to know what he was looking at. And I don't know how you can see what this man was looking at without the house being there. What windows was he peering into? Why did he?
I had separately, and this is not to give myself credit, this is just to say, I really truly believe this is a very valid point he's making. We had through a live stream, we had discussed this very point separate of Steve Goncalves. And I think this is one of the reasons they should not have raised a house, but that's all in the history books now, isn't it?
He picked that location location to stop at? Why did he keep going back to these certain locations? And I don't know about the other 12 or 13 times that he was there. I just know of the day that this happened in the footage that was given to me.
Sir, they have shared with us that it was a targeted attack. Can you give us any information about that? Have they told you who the target was or given you more insight than they have the public?
I don't want to talk bad about them because these are some hardworking individuals, and I'm doomed without them. We're all doomed without them.
Opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the targeted.
Now, does this statement here saying, I heard there was a difference in the way the victims were killed, the injuries were, some were more severe than the others. Does this go along with, does this have to do with what Jack DuCoeur's Aunt Brooke said in that comment about Kaylee being choked, punched, and stabbed? I don't know. Do you guys think, I think this is a really interesting question. Nothing is going to be known for sure until the details are revealed through the trial. And even then, certainty only relies on how much you trust law enforcement and the investigation. I think it's a very interesting question. I think it's super interesting that it was there for a moment and then it was gone.
Attack, walk back, and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's,
they don't,
and Kaylee's.
Again, does this go to, the details of what Jack DuCoeur's aunt said in that comment that was there and then it wasn't? Choked, punched, and stabbed. I just never even thought that those things were a possibility based on how one would imagine the crime scene would go down based on the weapon that we know was used.
Cause of death. It does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill.
Steve says the coroner told him the killer's rampage started on the 3rd floor, where both Maddie and Kaylee had their bedrooms. Christy thinks he wasn't expecting to find the two friends together in the same bed.
I do think that his plan went awry. I do think that, he intended to kill one.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road.
News Nation witnessed investigators removing several items from the victim's home, including what looks like to be a bed frame and a mattress covered in bloodstains. Now, the judge in this case approving the defense team's request to preserve the crime scene for several more weeks. News Nation's Robert Sherman is live for us on the ground in Moscow. And to explain what all this means, Robert, what can you tell us?
Good evening to you, Kelsey. And when you think about it, for weeks on end, we did not have a suspect in this case. That has since changed, and now Brian Koberger's team will have the opportunity to examine that scene for themselves and put together their own defense.
New activity at the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered, as investigators removed mattresses and furniture outside and carted them away. After weeks of seemingly little movement in the case, the process is now picking up.
Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up and had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a
Tiny,
bed.
tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
As the world has come to know, Kelly Goncalves died in the same bed with her best friend Madison Mogen in Madison Mogen's bedroom at 1122 Gang Road. In a recent 48 hours, Steve and Christy Goncalves were asked what they know regarding the details about how Kaylee died.
We know the autopsy. We know the means of what is officially how she died. She was assaulted and stabbed.
Several times. Her death certificate is the ugliest, disgustingest piece of paper that you will ever see in your life.
Christy and Steve Goncalves talked to coroner Kathy Mambut before the gag order was in place. And the details that they learned about how Kaylee died, how their daughter died, are absolutely horrific.
The bed was up against the wall. The headboard was touching the wall, and the left side of the bed was touching the wall. We believe that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was on the inside.
According to Coroner Mabbitt, the killer's first victim was Maddie.
You believe she had awakened at that point?
Yes.
Yeah, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
The way the bed was set up is what
She was trapped.
She was.
Steve Goncalves reveals that Kathy Mambut, the county coroner, revealed to him that the killer's rampage began on the third floor where Kaylee and Maddie both had bedrooms. Christy Goncalves thinks that the killer's plan went awry, that something didn't go as he planned once he got into that house.
I do think that, he intended to kill one and killed four.
Okay, so, all right, guys. So it is a school night, and I said earlier that tomorrow's my son's 16th birthday. It's actually Saturday, but I might have a live stream tomorrow night. I might not. It depends on what he wants to do. Usually we have mommy and son night on like his actual birthday. We have dinner and get a cake and stuff, but his actual birthday is Saturday, and he's having doing some stuff with some friends, like a party. So we're gonna do that tomorrow night. So I might be doing a live stream. I'm gonna have to ask him if it's okay. If it's okay with him, I will be doing that. And yeah. So let me just see if there's any other comments. A few more comments I will read, and then I'm gonna wrap up. And please let me know what you think about all this. Oh, thank you so much. And he says, we paid for the funeral. We get it. I've lost a kid. Paid for the funeral. I am so sorry. That's just, I can't even imagine. I'm so sorry you went through that. So don't ask for money if you got the money to pay for it, is essentially the point. So yeah, we did have that discussion earlier on. Yeah, and I'm very sorry for your loss. It's terrible. I can't even imagine. Please put, yeah. So we understand here on this channel that this is a very divisive case and people are very passionate about it, and opinions are, and very much like the Watts case, polarizing and different sort of, people are kind of huddled in their different corners. Sometimes, not everybody, but yeah. So please do put, in my opinion, IMO, after you say something that might be controversial, just because YouTube's been on my butt, like a lot, big time. And thank you, I appreciate that. Not what you're doing, WT, but the people who are watching. Hey, DB Tape, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Very nice to see you. Yeah, it's so hard to listen to. I totally agree. So, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, all right, guys. Well, I am going to wrap it up because I do have to catch some sleep and get ready for my son's big 16th birthday. But check tomorrow. I will put up a notification or something tomorrow morning if I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow night. And remember, guys, life is hard. So please be kind to each other and be kind to yourself because you deserve it. So that's your homework for tonight. For tomorrow, do something awesome for yourself because you deserve it. And gosh, I don't even know if I can play my little outros anymore because, yeah, because of YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you. Because my music net licenses all of a sudden are no good. Let's see if we have one I can play. Probably not. So I'll play my intro for the outro. Thank you guys so much for being here. Subscribers, members, moderators, especially people who are new to the channel. We are so glad you're here. Please click like and subscribe. You might want to come back. And if you want to, you can even share the video. We always appreciate that. Come here, intro. That's going to be an outro. All right, everyone. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
There are more answers than you know.
Had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker. And there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.